Technically speaking, technically speaking, I ain't talking vegan when I said that I've been eating, making money on the side, but I use it for the main.
Welcome, you guys. Welcome back, okay? We're back with another one, another lesson, right? Let me just pull this up because I want you guys to be able to see my screen, right? So we can start this thing, right? Basically, this video is just letting you guys know that we are ending phase 1 of the computer science course and moving on to phase 2. Phase 2 is all about coding. Hold on, let me go back. Phase 2 is all about coding, okay? I want you guys to see. I don't know why it's not sharing. There we go, screen 2. All right. So, all right. So you guys should be in Notion. Notion is where you always start your learning, right? You say, hey, let's go into Notion. Let's see what's happening. And what's happening is we are in the computer science course. There's my mouse. We're in the computer science course. And we have phase 1 and phase 2. We're done with phase 1. Just a little recap. Phase 1 was about computer networking, right? We was learning the basics of how computers speak to each other by going through the CCNA track. You do not have to take your CCNA exam if you don't want to, but it definitely gives you an edge up if you go and achieve your CCNA certificate. It is Cisco's way of how network engineering is the standard of network engineering. Cisco is like, #1 in the world's IT solution. So why not, learn computer networking from the #1 company in the world, right? So we went over the CCNA tracks. We talked about network fundamentals, how IP works, IP services, a little bit of security, how to access the network, and we ended off with automating our network. We can configure our network going into our command line in our terminal, doing all the commands, but why not set up the computer to automatically do some of the tasks for you, run some of the bulk jobs for you, so you don't have to sit there and do it one by one, right? So we talked about REST APIs, JSON, and Puppet and all these other types of automation tools, right? Now we are on to phase 2, and phase 2 is all about coding, right? Really developing. I call it coding because, you can go anywhere with knowing different types of syntax, different types of codes for your computer. So, coding is kind of like the basis of it all, but we're really programming things. First things first, we're going to set up our developer workstation, ensure that we have the necessary tools to even start coding, right? Again, this is just the basics of coding. We're not going to go really deep. As you can see here in the course description, we're going to talk about, well, first we're going to set up our workstation. If you took phase 1, if you completed phase 1, then you should already have your workstation set up. But let's say you don't care about computer networking, you just don't want to go through it, and you just want to start right in phase 2, which I kind of think you should go through phase 1 and phase 2 so you can get a better understanding of how computer works in overall, whether you are programming it or whether you're learning how they communicate, because then you'll be marketable to have, jobs or to make money any type of way, really. So if you complete phase 1, you'll already have your developer workstation set up. I'm going to just reiterate it again, and then we'll go in and do basic web development, right? We'll learn with HTML and CSS. If you guys are from the MySpace era, then HTML and CSS is right there up your alley. Like, it's the same thing. We're just revisiting that knowledge. So it'll probably refresh some things in your mind, or if it's new to you, trust me, it's very, very easy to learn. Most of the time you have a cheat sheet and you're just looking for, the syntax that you want to use to accomplish the goal. Once we do the basics of web development, we'll add another layer, which is JavaScript. We have JavaScript to our web development. JavaScript is like 98% of the websites out here in the world. I think Facebook is like half of JavaScript. So it's just really good to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript all together, because then you could become a full stack developer or a front-end developer if you just want to do HTML and CSS, or a back-end developer, which you'll probably, learn, other languages like React or something. So once we get our website published to the internet, then we're going to go in and do a little bit of Python, right? I don't know what we're going to do with Python at this time because I don't want to make it too crazy, but what we may do is something that segue into blockchain, because that's what phase 3 will be about. Phase 3 will be all about blockchain. Before we get there, let's go ahead and have our basis of coding, basis of what coding is and what's programming, and get your mind around actually working in the terminal and, working line by line to accomplish a goal, to develop some type of software, So it's JavaScript and then Python and GitHub. I put GitHub in here because I think it's very important that we understand to a basis level and start using GitHub to where we can share each other our codes, we can work on it, and we can just, be a part of this coding community, right? Things I may add other things to this course description, other languages, or just maybe other different types of technology that you may need to learn or know. I may or may not do that, but at least right here, you see exactly what you're going to get yourselves into. Okay. And then from there, we're going to move over to blockchain so we can start using our knowledge of how computers talk, how to talk to a computer, and put that all together to make it decentralized. Right. I think it's very, very important to be well-rounded in this industry. It's great that you're interested in coding and you want to just build games or build mobile apps or something. But it's even better if you know how computers talk, how networking, how what is a router, how does it go, what is a packet, the OSI model. When you start knowing different protocols and different layers of communication with computers, then it just makes you an overall beast, and it makes you just, again, marketable, right? To just be able to make money however you want to make it. So, and it helps too with troubleshooting, because if you're not understanding why your code's not working, it's probably not an error in your code. It's probably something with, networking your computer. So it's good to have that knowledge to be like, okay. And then connecting your code to the internet, which we'll be doing in HTML and CSS. Well, once we finish with JavaScript, we'll be connecting our code, our web code, to the internet, so we can actually see like, okay, our web page is hosted there. And a lot of things we're going to deal with domain names and domain servers and IP addressing, right? So if you don't know anything about computer networking, you're going to be like, domain names. Okay, what is a domain name and how does it work and what's the purpose of it? But if you already took phase 1, then you're gonna be like, duh, domain name, we're just pointing it to match it with the IP address or to reverse it. So regardless, we're not gonna go in. Definitely just make sure you review the course material or course description so you can see what you're getting yourself into. Enrollment of this course, you really just have to be a member of the TS site. If you are if you're, watching this playback or in this video right now, then you already are in the Discord because I blasted out there, and that's why you're here. So member of the TS site, please make sure that you go to technicallyspeaking.com and become a member of the site. All you're doing is just subscribing to the email list so I can have your email, so I can communicate with you in all forms, okay? And another recommended preparation, which obviously is a stable internet connection, a PC, and a study partner, right? I cannot stress this enough. You definitely need someone to study with. I would say go ahead, get into Discord, ask if there's anyone going through phase 2, you're a beginner, and you're just looking for someone to study with. Like, someone can match your schedule, maybe, your nighttime or your morning times. There'll be someone here who can study with you, right? So yeah, let's get out of here and let's go into, actually, let's start at developer workstation setup. I just want you guys to, actually, really don't have to start here. You can see, I didn't even bring up. Oh, so we ended the CCNA. Well, phase one is what I'm going to call it. I don't want to confuse you guys. We ended phase one with setting up our workstation. And as you can see here, it basically bridges you from network engineering into software development. So we have network basics. And as you can see, you set up your developer workstation, your Python fundamentals is what they give you. We start talking about REST APIs, which is very important, model-driven programmability, and just, hey, you got this. So definitely go over that. I think it's very helpful. Make sure that you went through each one. But for this one right here, I just want to show you guys exactly what I use or what encompass a developer workstation, right? So let me share this screen here. Well, first, let me pull it all the way up here. One moment, because I have two screens and it always follow. There we go. All right, so basically I have some PowerPoints that I'm going to give you guys. I'm going to send through Discord as well, and I want you guys to take heed of it. I'm basically just going to go over them, and this is just like a reference, right? So you have your developer workstation. What is a developer workstation? It is just a collection of like software tools, right? That you're going to use, that a developer uses to, code, to do what we need to do to accomplish the mission, right? So different types of software includes, and the biggest thing is operating system, right? Let me make sure that I have the Discord up for you guys in a moment. Okay, cool. Now, the biggest thing is the operating system. The operating system is, already on your PC. It's already hosted on your PC. So you buy a computer, unless you're one of those people that, are computer geeks and you make computers, or saying you're building computers, then you're gonna buy a computer from Best Buy, Walmart, or someplace. And it's gonna already come pre-configured with an operating system, most likely Windows. Unless you have a Mac and then you have the Apple Mac, operating system. But most of the time we're using Windows. It's just easier to use. Everyone has one. So operating system, if you see here, it's briefly mentioned in the CCNA, but I just took some notes on it. I'm not going to go deep into it. Like I said, it's, Mac or Windows. If you're fancy, which we kind of did, I think in the beginning of the phase one, we did a little bit of Linux there and we were playing around with it to host it on our virtual machine. So that's something that you can have on your resume as well, that Windows, Mac OS and, Linux, and that makes you somewhat of a system engineer, right? But yeah, operating system, you already know what that is. It's software that runs on our computer to allow us to do certain things in a user-friendly way. Like here, we can click backwards or forwards. We can click in here to start typing things. As you see, this print or share, download, all these things. If we didn't have the Windows or this operating system, it would just be a whole bunch of like a black screen and a whole bunch of just code, and you would just be typing what you want to do, which is not user friendly, right? So we start off with, operating system. Just make sure it's up to date. There are some things as far as links that you can, that I have here for you. So, use that to go more in if you are not too sure of what an operating system is. I mean, you guys all know what an operating system is. However, can you explain it? If you can explain it, then to like a 5-year-old, then, you don't know. So this is something to give you more basic understanding. Let's see, talk a lot about Linux software. You can do the CompTIA 400, 70K scale. So yeah, basically I just gave you guys a whole bunch of just like notes. And it says next step is to build a lab using Linux and then move to like, please go through this. January, I did this earlier this year, so please go through this. This gives you a lot of information just on OS, and you just being like, top notch and knowing different types of operating systems and how to navigate through them and configure them, then that's a job right there, right? That you can expound on, oh, I'm coding, I'm doing software development, all that other stuff. But if you just hone in on this because it's very interesting or it's a skill under your belt, it just makes you, again, more marketable, right? Okay, so you have your operating system. The next one, let me pull it up, is your terminal or shell, whichever way you want to call it. Well, you may hear interchangeably. Some people will say terminals, people say shell. It's basically the same thing. It's just a CLI, right? The command line interface, and it helps you talk to the computer. It's where you're actually going to directly talk to the computer and say, hey, computer, I need you to do this, run this game, or save this document, or create this folder, or whatever the case may be. Let me see, the terminals applications, the command line tools is where you type in execute text-based commands. Oh, okay, so I have a link here where you actually go through steps on discovering the terminal, on learning the terminal, on, how to do certain things. It says locked, I don't know why it's locked here, but you go here and it tells you all about the command line. This is very important. I hope I gave the same thing to you. Yeah, I gave the same thing to you in phase 1, but just to go back and reiterate, if you didn't go through it, this is the time to go through it because we're actually coding. So if you don't have a solid understanding of what the terminal is, you don't need to start coding because that's what we're going to be using. And that's what we use. So make sure that you understand the terminal. I'm going to bring up my terminal just so you guys can understand it. Let me see. So I go into my search. You guys can't see it on my screen. It's not showing, but you'll go to your search. You'll probably put in CMD. That's what you'll search for, and press enter. And it says command prompt. And this is what it'll pop up, right? Because you put CMD, command prompt, and boom, it pops up. So you can, go to different things here. You can do, let's see, you can do list, LS. Okay, maybe list is not here. Oh, it's just, I have to go into a change directory, print working directory. I don't know. Hold on, let me see. I usually have to like look up my commands. Maybe I can go to change directory OneDrive. Oh, hold on. Change directory one. I should be able to list my folders. Let me see. How can I list my folders? So short list. I think it's LS, right? Oh, yes, I am in OneDrive. So it did go to OneDrive. And then I could say LS to list what's in here. I don't know why I didn't want to list it. Let's do change directory desktop. I kind of know my folders already. Okay, so I'm in desktop. Let me see if I can show you guys my folders. Let me go to desktop. Okay, so as you guys can see, I'm in C and the colon. So that's basically this computer. And then users. And I would go down to, oh, hold on, this is C. My local drive, my local disk, that's what C is. I thought it was just whatever. Local disk, go into here. And then as you can see, it says users, and I'll go to users. And then Jessica, I'll go to Jessica. And then OneDrive, let me go to OneDrive. Oh, where is OneDrive? OneDrive. And then desktop, let me go to desktop, right? And this is where I'm at. So this is the command line. Oops. This is the command line. And this is more of the operating system showing me this in a user-friendly way, a graphical user interface type of way, a GUI type way. That's what we call it. So desktop, and I can go to any one of these. I can make a folder. I can make a folder by doing MK make directory, MKDIR. Make directory, and then what do I want to name it? Let's name it phase 2. I think I can name it here. Okay, so I make directory, and oh, as you can see, something changed, but I'm going to say change directory, CD. That's what CD means. I'm going to change directory, and I'm going to change it to phase 2. And now I'm in phase 2, as you can see, right down here. Now let's see, phase 2, we created phase 2. Let's just, for shits and giggles, let's just create one more, right? We're gonna do make dir. And in phase 2, what do we wanna call it? Let's call it phase 2, let's call it setup, enter. So then change directory, setup. See, now we're in setup. So you see, and then we can even backspace by going change directory. And I think it's space dot, 2 dots. Yes, and it's back to that. So we go change directory dot, and then we're back at desktop. As you can see, we're at phase 2. Let's open phase 2. And now we have setup. Obviously, there's nothing in setup. We just created it. But that's just another way for you to be able to make folders, delete folders, add to folders, change stuff around, whatever you want to do. That is the command line. Because anything you can do right here, you do on your computer in a an easier clickable way. Anything you can do on your computer as like a clickable new clicking all these sort view, you can do over in your command line. Now I don't know all of those commands. Most of the time, just like creating folders, putting stuff in folders, deleting folders. That's kind of where my my basic, knowledge at outside of like configuring, switches, routers, or looking at IP parameters, or, anything in that such. But if you want to be able to, sort things, you have to look at the syntax to do that, right? And that's why I say, let me close this out. And let me close out. That's why I say go through this, because as you can see, look, easy, create your first directory. Like, this is a really cool resource. Please use it and then put it on your resume. Right, put it on your resume, please, please, please. All right, moving on. So we did operating system. We did shells and terminal. So it's bash or PowerShell, or the command prompt on your computer, whatever, it's a terminal, it's a shell. I think I have PowerShell. Let me just see, because I think that's a Windows thing anyway. PowerShell. Yep, Windows PowerShell. It's been a minute since I pulled all this stuff up, but it looks like this. And it's the same exact thing. It's just, again, a different terminal. It's just another way. So Xing out of all that. Okay. Let me go down here. And another thing outside of operating system, outside of this terminal, we have something called version control. Version control is really for you to be able to like track your code, share your code. And that's where we have Git. Right? We're going to use GitHub, which is, a place where developers go. We track our code. This is where we store our code, share it, all of that. So it's like your own private profile, and you can share it to other coders, or you can keep it private and it's just something for you to track, share. Again, it's all up to you. So definitely go and learn a little bit more about version control platforms. You know, Git is always what we're going to use because it's the most popular. And once you set up your Git account, your GitHub account, go ahead and add me. This is my username. So go ahead and add me, and you know, I'll share some of my code with you, or whatever code that's public. You could definitely take a look, add some more stuff. Maybe you see, you know, something that you may want to add to my code that has an error or something. Go ahead and update it. You know, you can fork it, update it, and boom, you know, we can work on it together, or you just help me out. I don't know. Or share your code with me. Show me what you're working on. Maybe you know, are working on something block decentralized related, or maybe you're just working on a game. You know, I don't know. But definitely make a profile, add me, don't add me, totally fine. But make sure you know about version control and how this version control can help you out with your coding. Okay. Let's see what else we have. We have programming languages. Again, I'm going to send you guys these PDFs. I just wasn't able to put them all into Notion, which I will. So no fret, no fret. I'm also going to send them on Discord, just because as a resource, just so you can have it. So anyway, moving on. Program languages, okay? Now, what is a programming language, right? It's just a language that we're gonna use to write instructions in for the computer to follow. So the computer, just like, you know, we have our human languages, right? We have English, we can do, you know, Chinese, we can do, you know, whatever, Spanish, you know, so many languages out here. What are you going to speak? And why were you going to speak that? I'm going to speak English because I am in America. I'm going to speak Chinese because I am in China. I'm going to speak Japanese because I'm in Japan. I'm going to speak Spanish because I'm some part that's, you know, Latin American, or, you know, maybe I'm in DR or something, right? So I'm going to speak some type of Spanish, and there's different types of Spanishes, just like there's different types of languages, programming languages. So what language are you going to use? Means what mission are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to, like I said, build a mobile app? Are you trying to build, you know, a game or a website? Or are you trying to program robotics? Like, it's so many different languages out here because there's so many different things you can do. And as you can see, I listed the 10 most popular, right? I even gave you my resources. So if you're like, oh, I want to learn more about this program, about this paragraph, just click on here and it'll give you the full article, right? It'll give you where I got this information from. So 10 most popular: Python, JavaScript, Java, and it just goes in, right? It's good to really know at least 3 of these on this list, even if it's the first 3. Most time people just have this first 3 knowledge, but I would say go in and learn like C++, you know, some type of object-oriented language. And you can see down here, you know, HTML, CSS is not really a programming language. It's more like, you know, a framework, right, of, you know, how websites are. But we kind of still put it in a language because it's kind of like you still some type of code, right? So go through this, right? Go through this and figure out what language you want to use. And before you even can figure out the language, it's what are you trying to accomplish, right? Do you want to build games or do you want to build mobile apps? I would say before even moving on in this exercise, make sure that you have a plan. Like, okay, I am going to be a mobile app developer. I'm going to build a mobile app. Maybe you don't want to be a mobile app developer, but you want to build a mobile app to get some experience, to see if you want to go down that track. Okay, I want to build a mobile app. Okay, what type of app? Let's just say it's very simple. It's just it's an app for, you know, your small business or your idea. It's an app where it hosts your resume. That's very simple. It's just an app that has your information on it. Okay, cool. So what are the steps that I need to, what are the language that I need to know in order to accomplish a mobile app? Let's say you only want it to be an Android app. Let's say you only want to be an iOS app. different languages, right? Moving on, text editor. Text editor is like the next thing, the next important thing that you need to have because that's where we write our code. And that's something like Notepad++ or Atom. I'm going to pull up my text editor. Notepad++. There we go. So Notepad++. This is what I use. I use this in my day-to-day job as a network engineer. We use these things. Let me pull my computer down a bit. We use these to read code, to read what the computer upgrade package. Do you want to download it? Not yet. To read what the routers and switches spew out to us. Now in the CCNA, we don't go in, but for the CCNP, specifically for voice and video, we have to take SIP messages or messages, audio messages, and interpret that. And they usually come in the language JSON, which is basically like, a readable JavaScript in a sense. And we use these things to, read the messages to say, okay, the audio didn't get set up because of this, or we got a 404 message, or we got a 301 message, or a 200 message and was able to get through, but it snagged an error because it wasn't able to reach some type of host, and we got a generic 404, host not available, server not available, so we use these things, copy the code, put it in here, and we literally go line by line looking and reading it. Actually, let me show you guys. I want to show you guys. Let's see if I even have it. Because sometimes I take notes on what I have going on. So I kind of wanted to show you guys SIP, what I was looking at. So, as far as like reading SIP messages, you have little things like this, and actually, nope. I thought I would be able to show you guys an actual SIP message, because it is in like all code. Oh, headers, here we go, traces. Traces. All right, so this is something like what it will look like. Sorry, I'm still at work. This is something it will look like, right? I'll have an invite and it'll come in, it'll basically say, okay, this is, the number from this IP address, and can you submit an item to them? Oh, they're not talking to me. And it tells you from, like you see, it's readable. Actually, this is kind of just breaking it down a little bit more. I got like really detailed notes. Dang, I really want to show you guys. I only want to show you guys. Okay, maybe I can't. I tried. I want to show you guys what it kind of look like. What a SIP message look like. Yeah, no. Oh well, I tried. But at least you guys can see right here, which we'll be talking about. Not today though, which we'll be doing, just not today. Today is just all about setting up your developer workstation. That's why I'm kind of going a little more detail in what's happening. And then the next video will be about actually coding, actually doing HTML and CSS. So you can see we have some HTML, CSS here. And this is Notepad++. Like, I love Notepad++. You can use Atom. I do use Atom sometimes, but honestly, this is just what's good here. You can change different things, like, make it dark mode if you want, enable dark mode to make it all dark mode. I mean, that's cool for dark mode. I don't really care too much, at least right now. Because I use Atom, more and more. Like Notepad is more like when I'm at work. So since I'm just so used to using it, sometimes I use it when I'm coding. But when I start off with just coding and I haven't been working, then I bring out Atom, and Atom's in dark mode, and it's just great. I just don't have it on this computer. But yeah, you can change different things if you want. You can even, let me see, you can even change the style of things. So let's say you wanted to have a chocolate theme, right? It's kind of like dark mode. Or Hello Kitty. When I first started, I was Hello Kitty themed out, I love pink. Pink is my favorite color, FYI. But yeah, so change it around. Make it unique to you. Don't you don't always have to use the default. Let's see what Twilight is. Oh, Twilight is black. Let's see, what's this? Obsidian, I think that's black too. Yeah. What if I do this? Oh, that's brown. Hot Fudge Sunday. So yeah, just blackboard. Oh, that's not bad. Solarized light. Okay, I'm just gonna go to default, whatever, but you get the gist. Play around with it. This is a text editor. Exactly what it is, edit your text. It is there for you to, this is where we write our code. This is where we, before we deploy it, we say, hey, we're gonna put all our code here. We're actually gonna write it out, do what we need to do. Most of the time you use an IDE, which is more so you can do this code, because let's say I write all this code out and I want to test it. I'm literally going to have to save the file to my desktop and run it in the application that I want to run it in. And since this is a web page document, excuse me, I'm going to have to use it in some type of web browser application. But with an IDE, I will literally have my code here, and I'll have a preview of what the code looks like on this side. So I don't have to save the file. I'm just literally editing it, We'll do IDEs later. I don't want to confuse you guys. I think that for a beginner, you need to just start off with, a regular text editor, Notepad, Notepad++, Atom, just keep it very simple. Once you start really coding, like once we start going into Python and just going hard into object-oriented languages, IDEs is where it's at. But I want to show you guys again the old school way, the dinosaur way, because it's going to help it stick. So yeah, that's really kind of, what you need to get started to do your job as a developer. There are different things that, you may need as you start getting advanced with your code, like using APIs, which we talked about already in phase one. You may need to test different applications, like I said, while you're writing it. The web browsers, like, we have the HTML code, troubleshooting your code and all that other stuff. And most of the time, let me see, most of the time you'll use things like Postman. I'll send this, let me put a note to put this in there too. Because we learned about this ending of phase one, but I'm going to bring it back for phase two to give you like a refresher, because this is all this is really. But Postman, it's really an API platform. You're using APIs, and I would say start here, learn a little bit about Postman, and go ahead, download it, sign up, and start playing around with APIs, right? Because that's something that is going to be useful as you code and want to test certain things. Let me see what else document that I have here. You have Google Chrome, or whatever web browser you want to use. Google Chrome, this is a web browser. This is Brave. This is actually a decentralized web browser. Let me see. I can view page source. I can expose the code. And if I go here, as you can see, it tells me exactly how this web page right here is coded out. You can see, well, we haven't talked about the code and what, all these syntax mean, but, we have our doc type, and the doc type is telling you what type of document this is, and it's HTML, right? And the language is in English, and, as you can see, it has a header, the metadata, and a whole bunch of useful information. You can see it's copyrights, license, so you're not you're not about to just take this code and use it as your own because they'll be like, hey, that web page looks familiar. This is mine. And even has style. This is CSS right here, which we'll be learning. It has the style that's telling you what's happening. It has an icon and it's linked to something, so you can click on things and takes you other places. And again, this is just that web page. So again, just right click it and you go to view page source, which is the source code of this page. All right. Google Chrome. And again, it's any web browser. I say Google Chrome because I'm just obsessed with Google Chrome, but I've been using Brave a little more often, which is a decentralized web browser. So what Brave kind of is the same thing, Google Chrome. VPN, let me see, do I have VPN? I have NordVPN. Let me see if I can open it. VPN, again, we talked about it in phase 1, virtual private network. It's just so you can be able to access certain sandboxes. At least for a coding perspective, you would access, different sandboxes for you to, like let's say you want to hop into somebody else's server and, start helping them develop or start playing around in different types of development projects. VPN is needed and useful. Cisco, CCNA is not really needed, but if you decide to take the CCNP or CCIE or the CSIP or whatever, Sandbox would be very useful because you can go into them and actually do like break fix and troubleshooting type of scenarios, which will help you pass the exam or just be even better at the task that you're trying to accomplish because you're doing it in a simulated or a training environment, I may say. My Nord's not popping up. I kind of wanted to show you guys the Nords, but whatever. Know that it's VPN. We can look up VPN right now. I like to do best VPN to use, and they're gonna give you some stuff, right? Again, I use Nord, but you can use whatever. There's even YouTube videos on this. You can use whatever. Let me see. Tech Radar. I usually go to their site. Tech Radar says, Nord, Express, Surfshark. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna, promote anyone over the other, but you should do your own due diligence on what type of VPN you want to use. And that's really it, honestly. Let me see. NRock, it's really it's for network engineers, I guess. I used it once, again, it exposes your ports, the server ports that's connected to the internet. But you don't really need it unless you're doing something that requires you to expose ports. I couldn't even tell you a scenario, honestly, but let me go back. I couldn't really, tell you a scenario, but I guess it's something you should know. But as long as you understand operating systems, the terminal, version control, picking a programming language, your text editor, and APIs is good. We could do that later on, but at least you can understand when someone says Postman, you're like, oh yeah, for APIs. That's really important to, understand how all that comes together. But as far as, things, your basics that you need for your developer station, that's really it. That's it's really all you need. And then you can start actually going in and coding. Now, like I said, stable internet, a laptop computer. Now, you don't always need a laptop computer you actually can code from your smartphone. So let's say your laptop breaks or you just don't have enough money to get a laptop. You can use your smartphone. If you have a smartphone, like, Apple, Android, there's specific apps you can download, specific software you can use to, do what you need to do to build, something off your phone. I'm actually going to let me just copy a link here. I'm gonna put a little note to say, copy the link and put it in Discord for you guys. So if you don't have a laptop, then guess what? You can use your smartphone to code. Let me make sure I put that here because I don't want to forget, because I know someone's going to say, hey, they don't have a computer yet, or what type of computer they should use or whatever. And I want to be able to have that data already available for you guys. Make sure I do that. All right. So, and yeah, so your laptop or smartphone, internet connection, a study partner. Study partner is very important. I'm going to be here to help you as much as I can. But if you have someone who's kind of on the same level as you, then it just makes it all better, in the kind of same schedule as you. It makes it better to kind of learn and have someone like an accountability partner. Okay. Last but not least, for your developer workstation is the setup, right? Have a really good mouse. Don't use the trackpad on your computer, on your laptop. Get a mouse, get a real comfortable wireless mouse, and click on that. Get a really good keyboard, a keyboard that helps with resting while you're typing and stuff. That's really going to help you, because that's really all we're doing. We're typing and we're clicking our mouse. We're typing and we're clicking our mouse. Another thing is a standing desk. I have a desk that I don't know, can you see how it moves up? Yeah, you see how it moves up? I'm gonna hit my camera, but move down, and I can stand up and I can sit down. It's adjustable. Sitting too long is just really not good. So please don't get like a regular desk if you are going to take this coding lifestyle serious. Definitely invest into a adjustable desk. I got mine online at Amazon for like $200, right? Very good investment. Yes, I had to build it myself, but it was really good. And I can be at my desk for long hours because I could just hike it up and do some stretches, do a couple exercises and then hike it down, right? Last but not least, they say a rubber duck, right? Actually, I think I put this down too low. Pull it up, look, I think it's at 75. Okay, so they say a rubber duck. I, usually use anything like, I usually have like a stress ball or something that I have, but that's just me. But they say a rubber duck. And a rubber duck is because when you're going through something, they call it rubber duck debugging. And basically you have a rubber duck on your desk, and when you get stumped at something, you get stumped at something, you're trying to figure something out, you should be able to explain it to that rubber duck, right? Like that's how of a granular level you should, understand it to where you can explain it to rubber ducky. I'll send you guys an article on it. Again, it's just called rubber duck debugging. I've heard it a bunch of times in the field. I'm not a software developer. I'm on my way to become sort of like a software developer, but more on a decentralized way. I've never had like a software development job. All of my jobs have been system admin, system administrator, network, system engineer, network engineer. So most of the time I do deal with the developers closely to, make sure that things work properly. So I've heard rubber duck so many times and I'm like, okay, yes, I get it. I usually either use someone around me because I'm like, hey, let me tell you what I've learned. Let me teach you something. Or I have a stress ball that I have, and I literally talk to like a stress ball. It's kind of like, looks like a teddy bear or something. So it's kind of the same thing, but I'm going to send you an article about rubber duck debugging that I came across, and whatever. It's a good idea because you want to be able to talk it out loud and talk out loud to someone, something that it's not going to understand anything. So it makes you, be able to break it all the way down. I say be able to explain it to a 5-year-old, right? Be able to explain it to, a child. And really that's it. Now we can really just start coding for real. I don't want to code yet. I really just want to be able to, let me stop sharing. I just want to be able to show you guys a developer workstation, how to set it up, what it looks like, what tools encompass a developer workstation, and give you resources on it, right? I want you to go through those resources, get familiar with operating system, terminal, text editors. Maybe if you're feeling, dangerous, go ahead and download an IDE and start using that. I don't know. But definitely make sure that you understand what a developer workstation is and what encompasses a developer workstation. Set your workstation up, and then the next video, we will definitely be coding out. Okay, we're really just creating a web page, an HTML, CSS web page. I'll probably drop these videos like the next day, so you can have this whole day to get your workstation up. Tomorrow, let's do some web page. HTML, CSS. The next day, let's add some JavaScript to it. And then next day, right? So if you guys have any questions, any comments, concerns, whatever the case may be, definitely reach out in Discord. That's the easiest and most effective way to reach out to me. Or you can email me at support@technicallyspeaking.com. Let me go this way. technicallyspeaking.com, and I'll reach out as quick as I can. But Discord is where you're gonna find me. Reach out to other people in the Discord as well. Like, all you guys are trying to do the same thing, so you might as well start talking to each other, start communicating, get your soft skills together, and build a network to where you guys can rely on each other on different projects, right? But yeah, that's it. I will talk to you guys on the next video.
Technically speaking.